Hello, guys, and welcome to Cricket Caviar, your favorite podcast channel on cricket. And today I have a special guest with me. It's the recent winner of Kolkata Cricket Quiz, in which was part of the Kolkata Sports Quiz Festival. Gaurav, great to have you here. And I must say that the BGT fever still remains even after the long 1.5 month that we have had, waking up at 5 a.m., 5:50 a.m. And before that, the pink ball test and the Perth test also. India were definitely, ahead in this test series when they won in Perth in a miraculous manner with by 295 runs. I must say one of the greatest away wins by Indian team in Australia. And after that, it all came down crashing. Maybe it was the over dependability on Bumrah or our fragile middle order batting, which just refused to stand up in tough conditions, I must say. But how disappointed are you, Gaurav? What were your expectations going for this series? And are you really disappointed, or this was just an expected result for you? I would like to know your comments.
Uh, I think this was expected. Really, to be honest, this was expected. Really, after the drubbing we got against New Zealand back at home, I didn't have much expectation this time round from the Australian series. And I was pretty surprised when India won that test match at Perth. Uh, in hindsight, when I look back at the series, I felt that in Perth, I thought Australia were a bit undercooked because they didn't play Test match cricket for a while. Going into that Test match, and India had a five Test before that Bangladesh and New Zealand series back at home. So I thought Australia were a bit undercooked, and also the brilliance of Bumrah did the magic for India at Perth. But after that, it was all expected. Australia bounced back quite handsomely, and the series result could have been easily 4-1. Rain helped India to draw the Test match at Brisbane. Otherwise, this was really expected. I didn't expect India to win this series.
Hmm. But Gaurav, the question remains what led to India's failure? Because we have seen India win BGT series in 2021 with a seaside that where we didn't expect them to win there after Virat Kohli left and Rohit Sharma was injured in Melbourne. We didn't expect India to win there. Then we had Bumrah going out, we had Umesh Yadav getting injured, we had Ravindra Jadeja injured, Ashwin injured in the middle of the series. So many of our test stars got injured in the middle, and still we managed to win that series. So there must be something. It was the same team almost. Like if you compare, only probably David Warner or Cameron Green are the only changes. Apart from that, Scott Boland came in for three test matches, but the Australian team more or less retained their core, and Indian team also, I mean, how do you explain this loss? I know we had a bad series versus New Zealand, but I'm going to put that as something that Indian players are not comfortable against spin right now. And I could digest that. To be honest, I could digest that Indian players getting out to Mitchell Santer and Ajaz Patel because we have seen it against Matthew Kuhneman, we have seen it against Steve O'Keefe, we have seen it against Tom Hartley.
Tom Hartley.
Yeah, so I could actually digest that India losing to, but going to Australia, I already, to be honest, my expectations were higher because I knew we would get good batting tracks. Our batsmen are good on those batting tracks. We have seen Rishabh Pant get hundreds. We have seen Shubman Gill get 90s. And of course, Virat has had a brilliant tour in 2014. So I was kind of pumped up that even after this loss, this 3-0 loss, I was kind of looking forward to the resurgence of Indian batting. But what happened there, I mean, was just disastrous. How do you, I mean, explain that thing, what happened in Australia with Indian batting?
Well, if you look at the 2021 series, there are few factors you got to acknowledge. First, that Rahane leadership was great. Rahane,
Hmm.
though as a batsman, I don't like him, But as a leader, Rahane was absolutely perfect in that series. The way he gelled the unit together after Virat Kohli left for the paternity leave, and those things happened with all those injuries and all. That was great. Apart from that, we often forget the contribution made by Cheteshwar Pujara in that series. We talk about Rishabh Pant's brilliance. Yes, of course, Rishabh Pant was brilliant in Sydney. He was brilliant at Gabba. But
Hmm.
the contributions of Cheteshwar Pujara in both those test matches were absolutely huge. Uh,
Hmm.
Another factor there was that here you have Scotty Boland played for three test matches. He played three test matches in this series. And I thought that injury to Hazelwood was a blessing in disguise for them. Because what happened in 2021, that Australian bowling attack were tired. They
Hmm.
played the same attack for the four test matches, and by the
Hmm.
time the series ended at Gabba, they were tired. They bowled a lot of overs. Actually, Pujara and Bihari, Pujara, Ashwin, those partnerships and all those performances actually made them bowl those overs.
Hmm.
Here in this series, that is exactly what we didn't do. We did that at Perth's second innings, and we reaped the benefits out of it.
Hmm.
But then after that, we didn't bat enough to make them tired, to make them bowl their fourth, fifth, sixth spells coming at them. So
Hmm.
naturally, they were pretty fresh. Uh, Another factor you have to taken into account that Australian pitches are not the which was used to be in the say in the 2014 series or so, because
Hmm.
in the last 2 3 seasons I have seen Australian pitches have some spice for the bowlers as well.
Hmm.
So the and new Kookaburra probably seem around for more than what it used to do
Hmm.
before, because otherwise the Australian tracks were beautiful batting tracks in the past years. But this time round, or probably I'd say last 2 3 seasons, since the Ashes, I would say that the pitches have been little more friendly towards the bowlers, and it is producing good cricket, and all those pitches apart from Sydney, I'd say that the pitches were really good for good cricket. These are the factors, and other thing you have to take in account that the Indian batting order is not
Hmm.
having great runs for the last, I don't know for how many years.
Yeah.
Shuman Gill, leave alone Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. You all know the problems they are
Yeah.
facing, and we all know what they are going through. Leave
Yeah.
them alone. And apart from them, you have Shuman Gill, who averaged around 20 in Sena country since that Brisbane game,
Yeah.
which is very poor return. KL
Hmm.
Rahul played so many years for India. He's playing for 10 years at the international arena. He still averages around 33, which is
Hmm.
really poor. So,
Hmm.
and Rishabh Pant wasn't at his usual best in this series.
Hmm.
So that's why the Indian batting department is it's not about how you handle spin in the turning tracks in India, or you tackle seam in Australia and swing in England. It's about the confidence they are carrying with them.
Hmm.
Uh, that is the issue. If you look at the scores of Indian team for the last 1 year or so, they've been bundled out for less than 200. I mean 9 or 10 times. That's a staggering figure. That
Hmm.
shows that a collective batting failure is happening for a long time, and it has become a cancer for India.
Hmm. Gaurav, we won four tosses. I want to discuss about the selection and the strategy going for this and the team combination going into this Australian series. Now, we won four out of five tosses in Australia. So, winning toss in Australia is like winning toss in India. It's as good. You will see that Australian team always they bat first and they make you good use of the winning that toss historically that we have seen in Australia. uh, we won those tosses, But what do you think about the entire selection strategy, especially Rohit Sharma choosing not to travel for the first test? Then he comes in the second test. He actually replaces Dhruv Jurel, who was looking promising in the practice matches. He had one
Yes,
failure.
yes.
He just got one innings. Actually, he failed in that, and he replaced Dhruv Jurel. He tried to maintain the stabilized opening combination, which had given success in Perth, which is Rahul and Jaiswal. But as the series progressed, Rohit got caught in his own web of failures, and then he tried to get desperate to find some success. He again went as an opener in the fourth test, and overall, plus the strategy of playing eight batsmen and three bowlers, because Washington Sundar was hardly used as an off spinner. Ravindra Jadeja was a non-threat, was a total non-threat with the ball, and it felt like Ashwin was forcefully retired. I mean, bigger than the 3-1 loss, I think the loss that Indian cricket faced was we were robbed 2 more years of Ashwin. I'm sure he could have contributed for 1 or 2 more years. And currently, I don't see any replacement, a like-to-like replacement of Ashwin. Of course, Ashwin is a legend, but even I'm not seeing any young bowler coming out, an off spinner who's coming out with the skill and the charisma of Ashwin. Like we are seeing, at least in the batting department, there is Yashasvi Jaiswal, there is Nitish Kumar Reddy, or there is even if you take Shubman Gill or Rishabh Pant, these are young guys. But not seeing that in the spin department for India currently. But yes, the selection strategy and what is your opinion on Rohit Sharma getting dropped in the final test? Because I think that was a very very defensive move, and Australians, you will see that they will catch on to these instinctively. They will catch on to these kind of things because uh, I've heard many interviews from Australian cricketers where they say that they look at signs for weakness, and I think it was a big step back by Indian team by dropping Rohit Sharma, and Rohit Sharma then coming for an interview middle of the test match and saying that I just didn't want to be another out of form batsman. We are already carrying so many out of form batsmen, and I just didn't want to be another out of form batsman. So my question is, if there are so many out of form batsmen, why you had to be the one singled out and dropped? I know that you were even more terrible than others, but overall, your view on this entire saga, because we saw so many things happening, so many blunders happening across these 5 days.
Very poorly handled. I'd say very poorly handled.
Hmm.
They could have spoken about it in the press conference before the start of the test match. They
Hmm.
kept them in the loop, and the speculation came from different quarters. I
Hmm.
think that the situation was handled very badly
Hmm.
by the team management. See, Rohit Sharma, I don't see him playing another test match for India, to be
Hmm.
honest, because I think he's gone. Even I fear for him in the one day as well,
Hmm.
because what happens the fitness is gone, he's aging. The
Hmm.
problem, even in the one days, what happens in one day cricket, you still need to play those big innings. It is required you to get to those hundreds at the
Hmm.
top of the order. Hundreds are really crucial in one day cricket. What
Hmm.
happens in one day cricket, he'll get those 20 ball 30s, 35, 40s, but not more than that. That
Hmm.
won't help the team in the longer run, to be
Hmm.
honest. As far as Test cricket is concerned, I think his feet is not moving. He always had technical deficiencies as a test cricketer. His Test career has always been a stop-start kind of a career. Um, in the last 3 4 years, he has been really good in Indian conditions. In turning tracks, he played well, but even now, that has deserted him. So I don't see him playing. What my problem with the team selection starts from the right from the first Test match. The
Hmm.
problem, India is going to a side. They're selecting a side which is reminiscent of England cricket in the 90s. Playing too many bits and pieces cricketers rather than the specialists.
Hmm.
You cannot have Ravindra Jadeja, Washington Sundar, and Nitish Kumar Reddy playing in the same team. Three all rounders. You cannot have them play in the same squad.
Hmm.
Very unpopular opinion, but I think Nitish Kumar Reddy's selection actually hampering the balance of the side.
Hmm. Right.
I know it's an unpopular opinion because
Hmm.
he performed so well. He scored 298 runs. Apart
Yeah.
from the last Test match, he has been really good.
Hmm.
But if you can play him top of the order, top
Top
six,
one.
bat him top six, bat him
Yeah.
top six. If you have the confidence that he can deliver you with the bat, you can always back him to bat at the in top of the batting order in
Yeah.
top six. But
Absolutely.
cannot have him bat at number 7 or 8 because his bowling is not yet
Hmm.
ready for international cricket. So
Hmm.
he won't give you much with the ball.
Hmm.
Even those what do we say, the in between overs to give break to Siraj and Bumrah and other bowlers. So you
Hmm.
cannot contain also with that role. The problem with the Sydney selection was that they went with two spinners on a green top.
Hmm. Yeah.
On a green top, they went with two spinners who bowled 3 overs combined in 2 innings.
Hmm.
So they could have easily gone with one extra seamer in form of Harshit Rana in the last Test match.
Hmm.
So with that, what would have happened? Even with Bumrah injured in the second innings,
Hmm.
India still could pose a threat to Australian team with three prone attack. They
Hmm.
could rotate the three bowlers.
Hmm.
But what happened when Bumrah went out? You only
Hmm.
had two options, and who bowled their heart out 10, 12 overs on the trot, and they are not Mohammad Abbas.
Hmm.
And so he cannot bowl forever unchanged from one end.
Hmm.
So that's where the game was gone. 160 or 180 on that surface wasn't an easy chase, which Australia made it look like. It
Hmm.
wasn't an easy chase. Even with Australia 60 for 3 in the second innings, the match was dicey. You get 2 wickets, then
Hmm.
the situation suddenly changes. But you don't have enough arsenal in your armory to attack them.
Hmm.
That was my problem. That was my problem. You cannot have Jadeja and Washington playing together. As far
Hmm.
as Ashwin thing is concerned, what you have said that see Ashwin's performance also dropped over the
Hmm.
last 2 years, I would say. He wasn't the same bowler. But with the amount of skill and the experience he had, he always will be a threat in especially in Indian conditions. He's never been a great bowler in Sena countries, although he had few good spells in Australia.
Hmm.
Um, but apart from that, I think his Sena returns hasn't been great over the years. But it's
Hmm.
really difficult to replace Ashwin in Indian conditions. To
Hmm.
what I assume that they are trying Washington Sundar to replace Ravichandran Ashwin. And let me tell you one thing that Washington Sundar got, I think, 12 or 13 wickets in one of the Test matches against New Zealand. That was on a ranked turner.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
he's not yet a bowler who can get to wickets on good pitches, which Ashwin
Hmm.
and Jadeja on their prime could do. That's
Hmm.
why the opposition feared them, the Jadeja and
Hmm.
Ashwin combo. Uh,
Hmm.
and whatever I have seen in domestic cricket, there are not many spinners who can pose a same kind of a threat as Ravichandran Ashwin used to do,
Yeah.
even when his powers declined.
Yeah.
Um, Probably a Tanush Kotian, they can have a look at to Kotian, but
Hmm.
probably um, I'd say Washington Sundar is not the answer.
Yeah.
Uh, v- I may sound pretty harsh on Sundar, who done excellently. So in whichever capacity of chances he got so far,
Hmm.
but I don't think he has that capability to succeed on good pitches. On
Hmm.
turning tracks, he will definitely can get wickets. But then Matthew Kuhneman also can do. Steve O'Keefe can also do. Ajay
Hmm.
Patel, Mitchell Santner can do. So
Hmm.
even a ordinary spinner can become a legend on those dust bowl stunning tracks. That's my
Hmm.
question actually.
Actually, I have another question. We have seen like our lower order always does very well. Like you said that Nitish Kumar Reddy could have been played as a top order. I will put the same case in for Washington Sundar also. Like he could have played as a top order player. Like if you see, even in the Melbourne Test, he was the lone. I mean, he was the lone survivor. At the end, he didn't get out, but everyone else got out. He was 5 of 45 in that MCG Test. So we have seen Akshar Patel, we have seen some innings by Shardul Thakur, although he's not a proper batter, Shardul Thakur, but I can see that Washington Sundar, Nitish Kumar Reddy, all these guys, Akshar Patel has done it for India, and these guys are proper batters. Can we not try to push some of these guys into that middle order where we are consistently seeing, of course, Virat, and we can't be dropping Virat for some reasons, but why can't we push some of these guys into that? Like Shubman Gill hasn't played well, like you said, and there have been KL Rahul has been again on and off. So why can't we push some of these guys into the top and middle order? Is it not logical, or is it not cricketingly logical? That's my question to you.
I think there are some apprehensions about those kind of moves actually, in especially in Test cricket. What happens that
Hmm.
all your life you bat at certain positions, number 7 and number 8. The tempo of batting at number 7 and number 8 is quite different than batting at number 4 and number 5. The
Hmm.
tempo is different, psyche is different. you
Hmm.
you are often left with the tail to bat when you bat at number 7, number 8, and
Hmm.
you get those runs. You go get those 30s, 40s crucial runs. You stitch
Hmm.
those valuable partnership and lower down the order. But
Hmm.
whenever you are batting at number 5 or number 4, number 6,
Hmm.
you need to have a solid technique or temperament, and all those psychologically also. You need to have the temperament to score big runs.
Hmm.
And I want to see this, are these blokes ready to play those big innings, not go those mini hundreds or 30s and 40s you won't do at number 4,
Hmm.
number 5, number 6. You need to have
Hmm.
scored those big hundreds. Just like psychologically, technically, everything changes.
Hmm. Yeah, true. But some words from you about Jasprit Bumrah and what he has done in this series. Like we have to appreciate him. He was used like a like anything. I mean, he was sucked out totally at the end of this
you,
Test
you,
series,
you
five
you
Test
could you
series.
could you could you could hear him saying that odd zone nahi lag raha hai in that
Hmm.
MCG test, when in the second innings when Rohit came and
Hmm.
said that ek or over dalega, and he said odd zone nahi lag raha hai. That is the
Hmm.
situation we had with Bumrah, and it was really expected that he will break down, because
Hmm.
he has a very difficult action.
Hmm.
Let's be very honest that he has a very difficult action, and with
Hmm.
that kind of an action you cannot bowl so many
Hmm.
overs on the trot. He bowled
Hmm.
more than 150 overs in this series, and he bowled
Hmm.
more than 50 overs in that MCG test itself.
Hmm.
And he had, I think, 8 or 9 spells in the MCG second innings. So
Hmm.
he was a lone warrior, the only shining light in the Indian team in this BGT. And
Hmm.
absolutely phenomenal. 32 wickets in the 5 Test matches. He was
Hmm.
absolutely brilliant throughout the tournament, and aptly he was just the man of the series. So
Yeah.
I think we owe a lot to Jasprit Bumrah for the sheer brilliance he shown in this series and over the last few years as well. And he is
Hmm.
the sole reason that we won the World Cup final, in the T20 World Cup
Absolutely.
final as well.
Yeah.
From a near losing position, he actually
Hmm.
changed the momentum of that final.
Hmm. But Rohit also said, Gaurav, that Bumrah didn't get the support from other bowlers. And you are also saying that he's the lone warrior. What do you think could have been done? Like, we know Siraj has been brilliant in patches. Like he was brilliant in some of those second inning spells. Even in Melbourne, when we had Australia at 91 for 6, I think it was a good spell from Siraj, getting Travis Head there, getting some key wickets. But of course, we missed Mohammad Shami here in Australia. But what do you think was the main difference? Because obviously, even Mitchell Stark, although I don't rate him that highly, but even Mitchell Stark struggled in some patches. Like he was not as consistent. He's always been a bit erratic, but even in this series, after the pink ball test, he kind of faded away. And Australia were also left with mainly Cummins and Boland. So, what do you think is the key difference? Like how I mean, even their spinners hardly bowled, like Nathan Lyon hardly bowled in this series. So, what do you think was the key difference between because we had Bumrah, but we had Siraj, they had Cummins, and then they had Boland. So, where do you think it was different from India?
He's Stark. I have seen Stark over the years that sometimes really goes flat.
Hmm.
His performance in test cricket especially. But I must say, this series I am impressed with Mr. Stark. He was
Hmm.
absolutely brilliant at Perth. He was
Hmm.
brilliant with the pink ball. And in
Hmm.
patches as well, he was brilliant. And in the last two test matches, he was carrying an injury.
Hmm.
Yet he was doing a decent job.
Hmm.
The problem with Siraj is that he's not consistent. And
Hmm.
a guy who is playing for 4 years now for
Hmm.
India, got 100 test wickets for India. I think he needs to be more consistent. He often bowls those bad balls and often shows fake aggressions. I mean, those one are needed. You need to look at Bumrah, how he operates. He's very
Hmm.
cool and calm customer. He
Hmm.
operates very consistently. Look at Scotty Boland.
Hmm.
Scott Boland doesn't bowl you bad balls. He can bowl you on a handkerchief. It's
Hmm.
that sort of accuracy,
Hmm.
and you are often rewarded for that accuracy in Australia.
Hmm.
Look, when you bowl to Travis Head, if you are consistent enough in a certain channel,
Hmm.
then you know that he will go hard at you. So
Hmm.
and there are more chances of getting him out in that scenario rather than you bowl a rank half volley or a rank wide room to that batsman. So that is the
Hmm.
problem, and also a major problem was Akashdeep. I thought was very unlucky.
Hmm.
Akashdeep, I thought in patches he bowled well, but he was very unlucky not to get wickets. Now
Hmm.
these things happened to Mohammad Shami as well in the past.
Hmm.
So sometimes you are little bit shorter in length,
Hmm.
which is very good for watching. You beat the bat number of times, but it's
Hmm.
not that effective. You don't get those
Hmm.
edges, don't get those
Hmm.
wickets. It happened to Ishant Sharma as well in the
Hmm.
past.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
here comes the suggestion of the bowling coach of Morne Morkel or the team management to ask him to go a little bit fuller in length to induce those edges.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter whether you look beautiful or not. It's
Hmm.
end of the day the result matters. So
Yeah.
result wasn't there for Akashdeep to show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he was and Harshit Rana. I thought bowled some
Yeah.
jaffers and bowled some looseness. He wasn't
Hmm.
consistent enough. I thought I really do feel that he's really rushed to make his debut.
Yeah.
I think he needs to play a few more domestic games before he can be played for India.
I mean, I was surprised that two players were given debut on Perth because we had tests versus Bangladesh, we had a green track versus New Zealand, and the management didn't even feel worth to try Harshit Rana or Nitish Kumar Reddy before, but straight away, let them out in the Tigers cage in Australia. I think it was poor planning from Indian management part also. because definitely Akashdeep should have started the first test. I know Harshit Rana bowled well. He got those wickets, tail ender wickets. He got some crucial wickets also in Perth, but he was totally off color in that pink ball test where I think Akashdeep would have. And you were playing Akashdeep. In the home series, you were playing Akashdeep, so you could have just continued with Akashdeep. And you unnecessarily brought in Harshit Rana so that you expected something, to surprise the Australians, but it didn't happen. Except in that to few batters in Perth, it didn't pay off massively. So that's my reading on it. But Gaurav, another thing I wanted to check with you is that the emotions in this series, lot of people tuned in to watch. Record number of crowds have come in, and that's because how India and Australia have behaved on the pitch. It's good in a way, but it's also, I mean, it also leaves you with a bitter taste of what all happened. We know that Australia played tough cricket. They had mellowed down in past few years, but again we saw that the introduction of Sam Constas. Before that, we saw Siraj going versus head, but the introduction of Sam Constas really brought a new element to this Test series. First day itself, taking on Bumrah, then clashing with Virat Kohli, and then of course he fired up Bumrah also at the expense of Khwaja, and then, I mean, we saw so many battles. Melbourne, fifth day, the constant chirping from Silly Point to Yashasvi Jaiswal, reminding about his drop catches. And also, I want to ask you about Melbourne's day five, session three, that collapse. How much of it was psychological, and how much, because till then India were and Australia were locked 1-1 till that final session, and we were about to go to Sydney with 1-1, and Australia had to do all the necessary things to win the BGT in Sydney, but we handed them an advantage there, and also WTC qualification in Melbourne itself. So, what do you feel about the on-field clashes and also that Melbourne test, which was one of the most epic tests that I've seen?
You do expect that in Australia, don't you? Because the last time round it was the racist chance against Mohammad Siraj in the 2021 BGT. So these things do happen in Australia. Australia is a very tough place to play cricket. If you're an overseas cricketer, very tough place to play cricket. But I'd say that what Virat Kohli did to Sam Constance was very, really, really unwarranted.
Hmm.
Uh, as a senior guy, he shouldn't have done that. On the other hand, I think Sam Constance will learn it hard way. He
Hmm.
will tour to different places in Sri Lanka and India and all those places where it can get lonely. It can get lonely when you're playing on turners and the people are surrounding you,
Hmm.
and it can really go downhill from there on. So the kid needs to learn as well, because of his doings, Usman Khwaja lost his wicket. So
Hmm.
he'll soon learn. I,
Hmm.
I don't think he's mature enough to handle those things right at this point of time. But
Hmm.
having said that, Sam Constance actually changed the momentum of the series to some extent. The way he
Hmm.
attacked Bumrah on that Boxing Day first morning actually changed the momentum of the series. And
Hmm.
also really disappointed to see India didn't close out that game at Melbourne in the last session. They lost 7 wickets in just
Hmm.
25 overs. They
Hmm.
just needed to bat to a 38 overs in that last session, and they couldn't do so. Uh, we all know that we are really disappointed with the way Rishabh Pant got out, because had that partnership stayed there for, I think, a bit longer means at least at another 10 overs after tea,
Hmm.
then shoulders would have dropped from the Aussies, because
Hmm.
that was a decent surface to bat on.
Hmm.
And we could see that Labuschagne came to bowls, and other people are
Travis
Travis
Head.
Head was bowling.
Hmm.
So their bowlers were tired. They had a long spell in the first innings as well. So
Hmm.
they were tired. So we just needed to bat out those 10 overs. 10 overs post tea was very, very crucial, which we
Hmm.
couldn't do, and
Hmm.
we lost the test match. That was very disappointing. Who knows what would have happened had we gone to Sydney 1-all?
Yeah.
Funny things have happened in cricket. We know what happened in the 2021
Yes.
BGT when Vihari and Ashwin did the test match at Sydney. And
Mm.
then later on, that famous line, "Can't wait to see her at the Gabba," by
Yeah.
Team Payne. And we all know what happened after that. So,
Mm.
so you need to show those great. These are the beauty of Test cricket, actually.
Mm.
I don't, and one person I like to blame, not much, but I thought his game awareness not was not at its peak, which was Washington Sundar. He didn't shield the tail. He
Mm.
played
Mm.
45 balls for 5 runs, but he exposed the tail.
Mm.
I mean, I'm not saying that he could have drawn you the game, but at least
Mm.
try to do that thing. You try, at least you try to shield the tail as
Mm.
much as you can.
Mm.
But I didn't see that enough from Washington Sundar on that day.
Mm. How do you rate Gautam Gambhir as a coach? Because he's coming in every press conference and giving some Desh Bhakti slogan, we are playing as a team and all this. How do you rate him as a coach?
Whatever results I have seen in the last 6 months or so has been very poor,
Mm.
and I don't see any improvement. What I am looking for is improvement from
Mm.
series to series, and I don't see that improvement in either bowling department or batting department. As Sunil Gavaskar says, what is the contribution of Abhishek Nair?
Mm.
Virat Kohli was out same manner throughout the series, same kind of dismissal throughout the series. What have you done as a batting coach to trying
Mm.
to rectify that? So
Mm.
he has been really poor. What actually bothers me that it seems that he has lost the dressing room as well.
Mm.
I don't see much harmony inside the dressing room. I see there are a few differences coming out from that dressing room, and that is not a good place to be. If you want to perform, if you want to win for your team, you want a happy dressing room. The dressing room, if dressing room is not happy, then it becomes really tough. I think he has lost the dressing room. And if I can take a bet on it, I say that he won't last long. Gautam Gambhir won't last long.
Mm. Yeah, very important Champions Trophy coming up now. But
Very important, very important.
mm.
One, and if you in Champions Trophy, if India crashes out before semi-final, then you can say that curtains will be over Gautam
Gautam
Gambhir
Gambhir.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Australia in WTC finals against South Africa, how much are you looking forward to that, Gaurav? As a neutral cricket loving, I know you're a big cricket lover. How much are you looking forward to
It will be a good contest, but
that?
as jokingly people say that if even if Uganda plays a final with South Africa in a knockout game, Uganda starts as favorites. So, so Australia will definitely start as favorites. The only thing South Africa needs to do that Marco Jansen and hope that Marco Jansen and Kagiso Rabada and those people actually
Mm,
come into play with a brilliant fifer or something like that.
mm,
Batting actually, the South Africa's batting off late has been good with Ryan
mm.
Rickelton getting runs, with Bavuma getting a lot of runs in this
Mm.
season.
Yeah,
So it will be a tough contest. It will be a tough contest, and Lords has always been a very happy hunting ground for the Australians.
yeah,
So, as an